It is one of the most anticipated events of 2026. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will reportedly get married on June 13th. 13 has long been her lucky number. She was born on the 13th, turned 13 on Friday the 13th, and her first album went gold in 13 weeks. Taylor went from a teen with big dreams and a box of demo CDs to a global artist who's turned her wildest dreams into reality. The new book, Taylor Swift, Album by Album, takes a track-by-track look at the music that shaped her every era, from her country beginnings to her pop anthems to the power move that created the Taylor's version revolution. I spoke with co-author Joanna Weiss, who shared fresh insights on Taylor's songwriting and the strategy behind the most influential artist of a generation.
He says he's so in love, he's finally got it right. She wears high heels, I wear sneakers. Feels like one of those nights we ditch the whole scene. The more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I follow.
Joanna, I guess no surprise you ended up writing a book or helping to write a book, because you always had a journalist in you. As a child, you pretended to be a journalist.
I did. I'm dating myself, but I had a little cassette player, and you would kind of narrate the day. And I guess that gets you started. And then, combining with, narrating your day and then taping music off the radio and listening to it and making those old style mixtapes. I guess this was just my path from the start.
Okay, I can totally relate. I did the exact same thing. I interviewed neighbors off of my cassette recorder as well.
But here you are.
Yeah, but the good thing is, I just say we just got an early start on our careers, because you went on to work for newspapers in New Orleans and Boston, magazines, Boston's NPR station, and what you covered was politics, pop culture, and the intersection of the two, which is perfect for this book right here. You're a member also of a very unlikely girl rock band?
That's right. This was a pandemic project. Some people baked sourdough bread, and some friends and I, whose husbands had always played music, and our kids were always playing music, and we'd always kind of sat on the sidelines and thought that was fun. Pandemic hits, we've got new time on our hands, and this kind of existential, like, why don't you do it question hanging over us. So we decided to start a rock band, and we did.
Yeah, and Taylor Swift happened to be some of your inspiration.
You start a band like that playing other people's songs, and then you kind of feel like, well, this is fun. I have some stuff to say, so I want to write stuff on my own. And I remembered at the time watching some videos of Taylor Swift talking about her songwriting process, and she's got such a knack for taking an emotion, like a discrete emotion, and translating it into a story and into a song and into something that people can relate to. And it's a real inspiration, I think, for anyone who wants to write a song.
Yeah, you went to the concert with your daughter and her friends and their moms, the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, and you wrote about it, and that got people's attention.
That's right. Yeah, it was one of those things, one of those magical experiences from the beginning. We got that early access through a lottery to the Ticketmaster system, that memorable day when we were all kind of, refreshing and trying to get seats. Got a group of 6 girls who had just gone off to college, and this is going to be sort of their reunion. So we got great seats for the girls, and then one of the girls had her own kind of pre-sale in and ended up getting seats for the moms too. And we were like, of course we'll go. So our seats we're in Gillette Stadium outside of Boston. They were the second from the very tippy top, like double, triple nosebleed behind the stage. You couldn't even see the front of the stage, just the catwalk.
Did you go to the ER after?
I feel like one of my friends was a little dizzy up there. I could kind of feel the whole place shaking in the wind a little bit, but it was still just magical.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. You can listen to music with all the clarity in the world and no interruptions, with your own, whatever you listen to it on. But when you're actually in the room at a concert, there are times that somebody has taken me kicking and screaming. I'm like, oh, do I really want to get up and get dressed and go down there and wait in line? But once you're in there, it is a whole nother feeling, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And for a Taylor Swift show, it's kind of triple that feeling. I mean, you've got this whole assembly of people it's an event in their lives, right? And all these people for the Eras Tour were dressed up, matching outfits, parents and kids, dads wearing shirts that said, it's me, hi, I'm the dad, it's me. Like, everyone was kind of in the spirit of this collective experience. And then you go to the concert, everybody knows every word. She's singing, the audience is singing. It's just this kind of collective group. It almost feels like a music cathedral.
You know, so many times we look at celebrities and we think we want to be where they are, quick, fast, and in a hurry, and we forget that they had to get there. She had to grow up into that. So Taylor Swift, album by album, takes a deep dive into what ultimately made her a superstar. She didn't start out that way, although she had great inklings, right? So in looking at this book, you explore the music, the lyrics of the evolution as a songwriter. The book came out, by the way, the same week as her 12th album, The Life of a Showgirl. So let's talk about her early career, because things were very well managed and well plotted out.
Yeah, I mean, she was a preternaturally ambitious teenager. I mean, even younger than that, as an 11 and 12-year-old, she was interested in music. She was starting to think about writing songs. She wanted to perform. Very early on, when she was still living in Pennsylvania, she and her mother would go to Nashville and they would drop off demo recordings of her singing. She had career ambition that her parents had the wherewithal and support to encourage. She ends up moving to Nashville with her family in order to further her career, hooks up with some great songwriters, gets a record contract.
You think happiness, I hope you think that little black dress. Think of my head on your chest and my old faded blue jeans. And you think Tim McGraw, I hope you think of me.
Takes off, right? The debut album is, establishes her as someone with this amazing presence and songwriting ability. The second album, Fearless,
Marry me, Juliet, you never have to be alone. I love you, and that's all I really know.
just lifts her up into the stratosphere. That's the one that's got Love Story on it. It's the one that everyone sort of remembers and knows, and sort of launches this superstar. And then she builds on that and changes and evolves as an artist.
That's when you start saying to someone, how old are you? Like, where's the generation break?
Yeah.
Because it's like, do you remember when she was doing country? Like, Taylor? She did country? Oh, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about.
I think a lot of girls, like my daughter was one who kind of started in the 1989 era was kind of her, I guess, Red, moving into 1989, when she started, when she very deliberately started working with other producers and moving into pop and kind of exploring the pop genre. And since then, she has gone into, what was sort of considered more indie. She had that pandemic era folklore, Evermore era, where she was diving into roots and Americana. Everyone thought, oh, maybe she's going back to country. Nope. Comes right back out with Midnights, where she's like, into that sort of dark pop.
For a fortnight there, we were forever running to you.
And Tortured Poets Department feels kind of indie. She's working with Jack Antonoff, Aaron Dressner. You've got some of those indie pop influences again. And now we've got Life of a Showgirl, where she's back with the Swedish pop superstar producers of Max Martin and Shellback. And she's back with these bops.
But no matter what she does, she sticks true to that writing of songs where we all can connect to it. And it's interesting because, as you mentioned, in describing who was at the concert, it crosses like all like age groups and even male, female, and the whole bit. So that's the thing that keeps her golden.
She writes about what seem like very specific scenarios. It's always these little stories, and many of them have to do with love and relationships. And no matter who you are, whether you're a teenager who's sort of very immediately connecting to this high school story, or whether you're a middle-aged dad who remembers times in his life where he might have had a romance that went bad, there's something to connect to. And that's what I think her true talent as a songwriter is.
She had those breakups with Joe Jonas, Jake Gyllenhaal, Harry Styles, John Mayer, and then she actually goes as far as to what y'all cover in the book, when Kanye West interrupted her at the VMAs.
Yeah, an amazing, that was a pop culture event. That was right as she was starting. She was winning a VMA award for a song from Fearless. So she was still pretty young. She was 19 years old and just launching this career. And here comes the guy who was kind of like top of hip hop, like a huge star at that time, and creates this moment where he interrupts her speech. She is, for the probably first time in her life, speechless. The sort of anger and the bad feelings from that translate into a whole lot of songs in the future.
Yeah, but she also her resilience, I think, is so attractive to especially a lot of young women. The book also goes over all types of things like copyrights, contracts, counteroffensives.
Her experience with her master recordings is just, it's kind of a business case study right there, and has had a huge effect on the music industry and the way artists see their role in the music industry. So she very famously had an issue where the master recordings of her songs were owned by her producers, sold, or by her record label, sold to somebody else against her will, but she had no control over it. And she took this amazing step that no one thought would work, of re-recording her albums. The re-recorded versions of her albums outsold the original versions, and sort of devalued the original versions, to the point that between that and the money she was able to earn from the Eras Tour, she was able to actually buy back her masters. And we're going to have a new edition of the book in the beginning of the year that's going to account for that, and account for the
Was
new
that
album.
an idea, a suggestion from Kelly Clarkson?
It was. When this first happened, when her masters were first sold, and there was a lot of internet chatter about it, Kelly Clarkson, everybody's best friend, tweeted to Taylor Swift, hey, you know what you should do? You should re-record your albums. I would buy those. And every time Taylor Swift released a new Taylor's version album, she would send a bouquet of flowers to Kelly Clarkson.
All right. Well, the book also looks at hidden references in her lyrics. I can't wait for that part. But also, the biggest thing of what's next for Taylor, we may see reflected in her songs as well, is she just got engaged, and it looks like she might be kind of hunkering down into that as opposed to another big, tour and stuff.
It's very tempting to read every one of her songs and the lyrics as complete biography. You never can quite do that, but there are a couple of songs on this new album, Life of a Showgirl, that suggest that she is interested in hunkering down with her fiance, Travis Kelce, for a little bit. She's also talked about how tired she was. I mean, can you imagine that she worked so hard on that tour?
If she's tired at that age, I could never go on the road.
I mean, that was 3 hours nonstop, 3 times a week for more than a year, internationally across the entire globe. So you can understand the need to take a break. One thing I do find about her, though, is that she is a creator, and she has an impulse to create that doesn't stop. So I would be shocked if we stopped hearing new music from her. She might not be touring, but she's going to be writing songs.
And I wonder if she'll sing at her own wedding.
Ooh, she'll have a lot of people there who are great singers.
Yeah, right?
That could be an amazing concert, right?
That could be. All right, have you gotten your invitation yet?
Yeah, I'm still waiting. Every day I check in the mail.
Yeah,
Hasn't come yet.
Me too. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. I think besides just the kind of fun that we have with this, we can look at the importance that music has in society.
It really does bring people together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All that time,